Dangwa Jebe Da Nobar Jebe Gek Tarbada Tam Je Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tam Jege Se Jebe Mha Nang Kadang Nampe Senjen Tam Je Dewa Dan Ten Dung Yao Dang Du Nu Du Lana Me Pa Yang Tabar Sobe Chanju Rinpoche Topar Chan Thala Thangwa Jebe Dhai Nopar Jebe Gek Tarpada Tam Je Gembe Bardu Jobra Jeba Tam Jege Se Jebe Manang Kadang Nyambe Senchen Tam Je Dewa Tan Ten Dung Yao Dang Je Nu Du Lana Me Pa Yang Tabar Sobe Chanju Rinpoche Topar Chan Sama Geki Bardu Lunga Yisum Gewa Laku Mashi Bardu Lunga Yisum Gewa Laku Du Terene Sunte Nema Santa Samgi Bardu Lunga Yisum Gewa Laku. Now the 4 sessions Guru Yoga text on page 1. Monang Kadang Nyampe Senjen Tamje Lama Sanje Rinpoche La Kyabsu Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Ose Choki Kula Kyabsu Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Lunjo Sope Kula Kyabsu Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Tuje Trupe Kula Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Kushi Dani Lama La Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Mhanang Kadang Nyampe Senjen Tamje Lama Sanje Rinpoche La Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Ose Choki Kula Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Loncho Zobe Kula So Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Tuje Drube Kula So Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Kushi Dhani Lama La Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Manang Kadang Nyampe Senjen Tamche Lama Sanje Rinpoche La Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Ose Choki Kula So Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Loncho Sope Kula Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Lama Tuje Trube Kula Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Kushi Dhani Lama La Kyabso Chivo Choje Sanje Drove Gonla Sowa Debso Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tamche Dewa Dang Dewen Kendan Tempor Kyuche Tung Yao Tang Tung Yao Ki Kyudang Dewa Kyuche Tung Yao Mepe Dewa Tame Dewa Kyuche Nirin Chadang Nidang Dewe Dang Nyao La Nepar Kyuche Mhanang Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tamche Dewa Dang Dewen Kendan Tempor Kyuche Tung Yao Tang Tung Yao Ki Kyudang Dewa Kyuche Tung Yao Mepe Dewa Tame Dewa Kyuche Nirin Chadang Nidang Dewe Dang Nyao La Nepar Kyuche Mhanang Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tamche Dewa Dang Dewe Kendan Tempor Kyuche Tung Yao Tang Tung Yao Ki Kyudang Dewa Kyuche Tung Yao Mepe Dewa Tame Dewa Kyuche Nirin Chadang Nidang Dewe Dang Nyao La Nepar Kyuche. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red plum turns into Vajra Yogini, red complexion radiating with empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with three eyes gazing towards the sky, right hand with a Katri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound pim, and protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breasts swelling with bliss and adorned with the five-born ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and heads. Joyfully her right hand holds aloft the Vajrakatri pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center. And held under her arm is glorious Heruka in the form of a Katanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent. Arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss, then above her head in an expanse of five-colored rainbow lights. On a jewel throne supported by lions, elephants, horses, peacocks, and garudas, in the center of a lotus, free from the faults of samsara, and on the sun and moon that eliminate the sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara with the seven attributes, the totality of the exalted speech of the Dharma, of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddhas possessing the 10 powers, is Jigten Sumgon, embodiment of the three jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious Rinpoche, presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable, Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of their major and minor marks, and Nirmanakaya, glowing with reddish white light. Lord of the teachings, wearing the three Dharma robes, a sleeveless shirt with the seven noble riches, a meditation hat symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, and a golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles, right hand subduing the hordes of Maras by touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon are Avalokita in person. The Bodhisattva himself, Konchoratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his two hands. To the left is Trukidrakpa in the form of a bhikshu, with the three robes, Manjushri Saraha in person, holding a vajra and bell and a text and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the one moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India and by an ocean of Kagyusiddhas of Tibet gathered in the main and intermediate directions like immeasurable clouds. With Jah, the hook of faith draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse, with whom they arrive as the support of joy and kindness for wandering beings. With Bum they abide as the joy of limitless compassion. With Ho they move with a smiling demeanor, taming and caring for wandering beings with compassion. Please stay here with delight for the sake of wandering beings. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four Kayas. With my body, speech, and mind I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other, the one who offers that which is offered and the act of offering are indivisible in essence. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishments of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles, and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained, and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the three times to the welfare of wandering beings. Phagmodrupa Dorje Chanchen La So Vadeb So Kyaka Drupjen Chetsang La So Vadeb So Tile Shera Zambola So Vadeb So Naro Yeshe Ngudrubla So Vadeb So Dagyulo Damarpala So Vadeb So Mila Shepa Dorje La So Vadeb So Tangpo Da O Shon U La So Vadeb So Drupto Kamba Mizum La So Vadeb So Phagdu Dorje Gyalpo La So Vadeb So Gyaltsen Dorje La So Vadeb So Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon La So Vadeb So Chuje Rana Shiri La So Vadeb So Kenchen Dorje La So Vadeb So Unchen So Nang Drapa La So Vadeb So Chenga Drapa Jungne La So Vadeb So Chungwo Dorje Drapa La So Vadeb So Toka Rinchen Senge La So Vadeb So Samche Drapa So Nam La So Vadeb So Juni Dorje Rinchen La So Vadeb So Tuku Dorje Gyalpo La So Vadeb So Nani Choki Gyalpo La So Vadeb So Shinyen Dundru Gyalpo La So Vadeb So Rinchen Pelgi Gyaltsen La So Vadeb So Chogya Rinchen Pelzang La So Vadeb So Rikzen Choki Gyaltso La So Vadeb So Kyawa kunga rinchen la so vadeb so jese rinchen punso la so vadeb so Rinchen nambar gyawa la so wa deb so penchen pyogi gyaltsen la so wa deb so chole nambar gyawa la so wa deb so chungme chugya punso la so wa deb so Rinchen tashi punso la so wa deb so Jesun kunjo rinchen la so wa deb so Rinchen choki drakpa la so wa deb so Kunjo tinle namgya la so wa deb so Kunjo tinle zambo la so wa deb so Tinle tundu chogya la so wa deb so Kunjo tenzin du la so wa deb so Tenzin choki nima la so wa deb so Kyada pime gyaltsen la so wa deb so Jamyan choki gyaltsen la so wa deb so Tuwan choki gyaltsen la so wa deb so Rinchen tempe zegen la so wa deb so Gyawang tuje nima la so wa deb so Rikzin nuden dorje la so wa deb so Jinsen choki lodro la so wa deb so Gyaucho shive lodro la so wa deb so Jinsen dharma kara la so wa deb so Tisam tenzin tuden la so wa deb so Drogon dampo kagyo la so wa deb so Dinchen sawe lama la so wa deb so Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the rarity of freedoms and endowments. I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect, I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents, I still have biased attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion, I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action, bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form. I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water. I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage. I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate, not grasping at whatever arises. I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion. Reckless and mundane, I supplicate you, who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives. Physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires. You, Guru, who are all-inclusive and all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart with compassion, swiftly heed me. Effortlessly bestow your blessings, grant me now and on this seat the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with both merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion. Refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond. Whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad, only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope. Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon la so va de so Lineage Kyabgon la so va de so Chamgon Gyuntun Dhammakirti la so va de so Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon la so va de so Lineage Kyabgon la so va de so Chamgon Gyuntun Dhammakirti la so va de so Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon la so va de so Lineage Kyabgon la so va de so Chamgon Gyuntun Dhammakirti la so va de so Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon la so va de so Lineage Kyabgon la so va de so Chamgon Gyuntun Dhammakirti la so va de so Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon la so va de so Lineage Kyabgon la so va de so Chamgon Gyuntun Dhammakirti la so va de so Kyabgon Jigten Sumgon so vadem so Lineage Garwan Konchog Gyaltsen so vadem so Chetsang Kyabgon Dhamma so vadem so Kyabgon Jigten Sumgon so vadem so Lineage Garwan Konchog Gyaltsen so vadem so Chetsang Kyabgon Dhamma so vadem so Kyabgon Jigten Sumgon so vadem so Lineage Garwan Konchog Gyaltsen so vadem so Chetsang Kyabgon Dhamma so vadem so. From this life onward until awakening is reached, other than the three of you, you victors, father and sons, I have no other hope. Don't lose your compassion and give up on me, as there are none like you, kings, you victors, fathers and sons. You are all that I need, my only hope and reliance. I supplicate you with fierce and strong devotion from the utmost depths of my heart, without delay or indifference. Look upon me with your eyes of primordial wisdom. After this life, while I am in the intermediate state, draw me out with your hook of primordial wisdom and compassion. So now just listen, yeah? Master of the teachings of this realm, Glorious Jigten Sumgon, achieved great awakening one evening, and the next dawn went before the presence of protector Phagmodrupa in the immaculate Abhirati Buddha realm in the east. So here, when Jigten Sumgon finally achieved great awakening, his teacher, Lord Phagmodrupa, had already left, passed away from the human realm. So it is believed that Phagmodrupa then appeared in this Buddha realm called Abhirati. Yeah, so here it says, after Jigten Sumgon achieved great awakening in a particular evening, then the very next morning, he appeared in front of his teacher in the Abhirati Buddha realm in the east. Furthermore, through the immeasurable magical manifestations of his pristine primordial wisdom, he also manifested in the Srimad realm in the south, Sukhavati in the west, Karma Prasiddhi in the north, Akanishta Dharmadhatu pure realm in the center, and also in northern Alakavati and in other realms. He sent forth an emanation in each of the many billions of pure realms of the three Kayas. In each of these pure realms, he requested the expounding of the Dharma, thus becoming one with the exalted minds of all the countless victors. So here is a reminder that what really truly matters is the Dharma. And because Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon manifests in all Buddha realms, requesting, entreating the Buddhas there to teach the Dharma, and in this way, his mind and the mind of these Buddhas are said to be inseparable. Presently, he resides in the Buddha realm in the east, known as the Great All-Pervading. Its entire ground is made of refined gold. In the middle of this realm, on the great lion's throne ornamented with various jewels, on the peak of the diadem with precious stones that have the splendor of the essence of rubies, is Jigten Sumgon's supreme indestructible exalted body in the form of a fully ordained monk. White complexion, dignified and smiling, his body is resplendently radiant, with his palm in the gesture of blessing us all. He is teaching to an assembly of many hundreds of thousands of attendant bhikshus the Dharma of the various vehicles. When he says to his assembly of retinue, there. Right now, if any of my followers in Jambudvipa refers to our world, right now, if any of my followers in Jambudvipa, who at the time of their death keeps me in their minds, they will be reborn here in the time that it takes a strong person to throw a punch. And so immediately such a disciple appears before Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. Blazing with splendor, he then touches the crowns of such disciples with his golden-colored right hand, confirming their possession of utter virtues. Delighted with them, he says, "Welcome, my children." In the Nirmanakaya pure realm, in the great regent of the teachings, king of the victors, Konchog Rinpoche, who because of his great generation of Bodhi mind in the past has actualized himself as the Lord of the three Kayas. In the presence of Amitabha Buddha, in the supreme western pure realm of Sukhavati, he is renowned as Arya Avalokita. So this is Genesis. With wisdom's great magical display, he manifested as the preceptor, Shantarakshita, and others. He appeared under many different names, but in actuality, he is the manifestation of the exalted activities of the victorious Amitabha himself. By merely hearing his name, one can be reborn in Sukhavati. This he has promised without a doubt. The all-pervading Dharmakirti, who possesses the 10 powers, the wisdom and compassion of all Buddhas, is now in the southern realm of Viraja Vishuddha Kutta, with the name Victorious All-Seeing. He manifests inconceivably throughout the universe. Just by hearing his name, the darkness of ignorance is utterly cleared, and the pure appearance of wisdom shines in all directions, revealing the Dharma. By seeing, hearing, or remembering him, all wandering beings will be guaranteed great awakening and will ultimately attain the level of nirvana. At a future time in the pure realm of the eastern direction known as Abhirati, he will realize the essence of Bodhi with the name Immense Expanse, a victor, Tathagata, refuge, and protector of gods and humans. Through the perfect exalted activities emanating from his awakening in billionfold universes, he will benefit many. Thus are these three victors, fathers and sons, the gathering and embodiment of the ocean of Kagyu Gurus and Siddhas and all Idams, Dakinis and Dharmapalas with wisdom, knowledge, loving compassion, exalted activities, and protective powers. By your blessings, bless me and all sentient beings so that our minds turn to the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma turns into the Dharma. Bless us so that the Dharma enters the path. Bless us so that the path clears confusion. Bless us so that confusion dawns as wisdom. Bless us so that our karmic and afflictive obscurations and our cognitive obscurations and habitual obscurations are cleared now. Bless us so that they are cleared on this seat. Bless us so that they are cleared in this session. Bless us so that our mind streams are cleansed. Bless us so that our mind streams are fully liberated. Bless us so that we are liberated now. Bless us so that we are liberated on this seat. Bless us so that we are liberated in this session. Bless us so that the supreme samadhi arises unmistakably in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Bless us so that the unmistaken supreme primordial wisdom arises in our mind streams. Bless us so that it arises now. Bless us so that it arises on this seat. Bless us so that it arises in this session. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center, white lights emanate, dissolving into my forehead, immediately fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations and planting the seed for the Nirmanakaya. The exalted body, Vajra, the Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat immediately, fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech Vajra, the Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your hearts and blue center, blue lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya, the exalted heart Vajra. The Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is indestructible clarity, emptiness, Chitta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center, golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel, immediately fully cleansing my equipoised mind and the moment of transition of their obscurations, having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya and the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Here the retinue dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of 5 color lights resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness just as it is, primordially free from elaborations, the great middle way, seal, and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical, the indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. Evam Maya Alalaho. by the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. So yesterday on the DDIS WhatsApp group, I shared the extract that I mentioned, that Kenchen Konchog Gyaltsen Rinpoche has a book called Opening the Treasure of the Profound. It's his commentary, his transcripts from his teachings on some of the songs of Milarepa and some of the songs of Jigten Sumgon. And then at the back there, he included 3 biographies of Jigten Sumgon, 2 written in the past, and 1 composed in the present time based on the old sources. And the one composed in the present was composed by His Holiness the Drigung Kyabgon, Kyabgon Chetsang. And so I shared those few pages there. So if somebody has access to that and can put it in this chat on Zoom, some of you may be able to get that text from here. If not, I'm sure you know people in this group. You can ask them to forward to you. So before we continue on to the other lineage masters, I thought maybe going through this biography of Jigten Sumgon would be helpful. I sometimes forget, many of you know only a little bit about Jigten Sumgon. Some of you know definitely more about his teachings as found in the Gongchik. But many of you still, I think, don't know the life story, the life and liberation, the Namtar of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. I think that file was just shared in this chat window, the PDF. So anyway, this Jigten Sumgon, the second Nagarjuna, it's commonly found in Tibetan materials, things like Gyawa Nipa, Sanje Nipa, Ludrup Nipa, like second Buddha, second Nagarjuna, such kind of terms of like praise. So here, Jigten Sumgon is recognized as Nagarjuna come again, the second Nagarjuna. And Nagarjuna is referring to the great Indian master who greatly expounded, explained the Buddha's teachings on the topic of emptiness. So it is believed that Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon is a manifestation of Nagarjuna, the reincarnation of Nagarjuna, and so he is called the second Nagarjuna. So there are other reasons that we will see, in this biography, how he came to be recognized as the second Nagarjuna. So anyway, know that, in Tibet, when you come across this expression, the second Nagarjuna, then they are talking about Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. So this biography begins first with prophecies of the precious Lord's coming. It begins with the different sources that predict the appearance of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon and his activities in the snowy lands of Tibet. So here, His Holiness starts with the coming of the second Nagarjuna, the victorious Lord. The victorious Lord, those are epithets of Buddha. Victorious is Jina, in Tibetan Gyawa. So the victorious Lord, the Drigungpa, the protector, Jigten Sumgon, was prophesied very clearly in the sutras and tantras of the perfect teacher, Lord Buddha, as well as in the hidden treasures, the dharmas of Pema. So, for example, in this one sutra, called the All Victorious Wisdom Sutra, there is a quote in there that says, "He, a supreme being, will spontaneously appear, known as Rinchen Pel, Ratnashri. His fame will spread through the whole world. The virtuous Sangha accompanying this exalted being will be 80 million Shravakas, 80 million hearers. When the spiritual sons of the Supreme Tathagata have freed themselves from emotions, anger, and pride, there will be 8 million bodhisattvas accompanying this exalted being." That's one quote like that. That has been identified as prophesying the appearance of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. And then next, quoting a tantra, a very famous tantra called the Mahaguhya Samaja Yoga Tantra, relates that, quote, "The Lord of the secret path will appear as a glorious Vajradhara teacher, the very quintessence of the three kayas, to accomplish the benefit of beings. He will manifest in the forest home of mighty beasts as the glorious king of Munis, a Shakya Bhikshu, endowed with supreme intelligence, and will blossom both gradually and all at once. And then another sutra says, "The Soul Lord, King Trisondetsen, will manifest to the northeast of Samye at the place named fame as Ji, source of the Dharma, as the great being born in the pig year, known as Rinchen Pel, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of emanated bodhisattvas. In the future, in the Buddha field of true joy, he will become the fully enlightened sovereign, known as the Tathagata Stainless White." So what's interesting in this quote, in this prophecy, is saying that that Jigten Sumgon is King Trisondetsen, an emanation of King Trisondetsen. King Trisondetsen was the Dharma king who invited Guru Rinpoche and Shantarakshita to come to Tibet to help establish the Buddha Dharma in Tibet. And from the hidden treasures, the dharmas of Pema, in one of the dharmas, it says, "In Songu, near the lake of Upper Den, Ratnashri will appear as a son of the great yogin Dorje," identifying the name of his father. So there are other of these prophecies that I've read in other sources that are said to predict the appearance and the activities of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon lived, in the 12th, 13th century. Passed away in 1217. So next, a brief account of the Dharma Lord's life. There are many brief and detailed biographies of Jigten Sumgon. Most of the following stories are taken from the Blazing Vajra, written by Chenga Drigong Lingpa, also known as Chenga Sherab Jungne, who attended Jigten Sumgon for many years and was a master of the 10 aspects of knowledge. So this is referring to Chenga Sherab Jungne. So Chenga Sherab Jungne is the one who, like I said, his Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon's closest kind of heart disciple, also a nephew of his, and clear spiritual successor of Jigten Sumgon. But when Jigten Sumgon passed away, he declined, he refused the position of the head of the community. Instead, he focused all his energy on his own practice and realization, as well as compiling Several others were also involved in compiling the teachings of Jigten Sumgon, such as the last throne holder, Jenga Drokpa Jungne. So sometimes Jenga Sherab Jungne and Jenga Drokpa Jungne are called the sun and moon heart disciples of Jigten Sumgon as well. So the left and right hand men of Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. Just like the Buddha had Shariputra and Maugayayana as his two great disciples, in Jigten Sumgon's lifetime, it was Sherab Jungne and Drokpa Jungne. There were also, of course, other great lamas with a lot of influence, especially. So one disciple called Nyo Gyalwa Lanangpa. Nyo Gyalwa Lanangpa came from a very prominent family during Jigten Sumgon's lifetime. In fact, the Nyo family were rulers of a particular area in Tibet. Nyo eventually, he, of course, like many of these lamas during that time, they began their training, with their fathers, and then later their father would send them, to go get training from others. So Nyo was similarly came from such a family background where the father was a Dharma master himself. But eventually Nyo met Jigten Sumgon and then became a monk under Jigten Sumgon's guidance. And Nyo went to many places all around, to the holy mountains, sacred mountains, had many disciples, sent disciples, built monasteries. Eventually, Nyo, not eventually, but one of the many places that Nyo went to establish monasteries and to teach and to gather disciples is in the area that we now call Bhutan. Then some members of this Nyo family settled in Bhutan and sort of became the local chieftains in Bhutan. So the royal family of Bhutan today are descendants of this Nyo family. So in Bhutan, now the main lineage in Bhutan is Drukpa Kagyu. Second in influence is, I would say, Nyingma. Yeah? But before Nyingma and Drukpa Kagyu settled in Bhutan, had a presence in Bhutan, and Nyingma, there was already presence, but before Drukpa Kagyu had a strong presence in Bhutan, Drukung Kagyu, under the Nyo family, had a presence in Bhutan. I went to see one of the temples built by Nyo in eastern Bhutan, central east, in this place called Sumtrang, that sort of became eventually like one of the main seats of the Nyo family lineage. So the Nyo family, that particular branch of that family, today still is taking care of that temple, that monastery. It's a temple. There are no monks or nuns living. It's more like a family descendants, but they're taking good care of the temple and doing a lot of things to try to revive their old traditions. Then another great disciple during Jigten Sumgon's time is Druptop Singye Yeshe. And this Lama went mostly to Western Tibet and then, gained a lot of support from the local rulers and kings there, built monasteries, and so on and so forth in Western Tibet. That Lama's Tulku lineage continues to today. He is kind of, in Taiwan, people call him Ali Rinpoche. That Ali, but his actual name is not Ali, is Ngari. But Chinese don't know how to say Ngari, it becomes Ali. Ngari is this area in Western Tibet. So Ngari Rinpoche. And so he is, the Tuku now is maybe in his mid to late 40s. Tuku Sengye Tenzin. So this Tuku lineage originates in Kyobpa Rinpoche's time as this great retreat master. And then the third one is equally just as important and great, with a lot of influence and disciples, is Gar, the Gar Rinpoche's, Gyaltsen Rinpoche's Tuku lineage. Gar Chudingpa was also one of Kyobpa Rinpoche's key disciples. But his two, kind of left-right attendant is Chenga Sherab Jungne and Chenga Drakpa Jungne. So here is talking about Chenga Sherab Jungne, also called Chenga Drigung Lingpa. So he wrote this biography called The Blazing Vajra. And so continuing on from here, Jigten Sumgon passed away in the 4th month of the female fire ox year. Then in the 5th month, this biography was composed by some principal disciples headed by Chenga Sherab Jungne. And so here His Holiness said that it wasn't just the work of Sherab Jungne, but Sherab Jungne led the effort in putting together this biography called The Blazing Vajra. So then they wrote this life story, and after that they presented this biography that they co-authored, and then presented it to all the monks that were gathered. And all the monks, when this was read out loud, they all agreed, that yes, this is an accurate biography of our Lama. So in that book, Chenga Sherab Jungne said, quote, "The disciples of the Lord of Beings asked me to write the life story of the precious Lord. This cannot be done by anyone, even by the gods. Therefore, it is beyond my own inferior ability. But I will set forth a little, I will say a little, based on his own words," meaning based on what Sherab Jungne heard from Kyobpa Jigten Sumgon. He says, I will try my best, So, now, this, the biography, in Kham, this is eastern Tibet, there is a village called Chuki Suklakang that lies between Upper Den, which is like a golden stupa, and Lower Den, which is like a turquoise mandala. So Tibetans are very good at, kind of looking at natural formations and seeing, like, oh, this looks like this looks like that, So in this area, in this village called Chuki Tsulakang, lies between two places called Upper Den and Lower Den. And Upper Den is said to be shaped like a golden stupa, and Lower Den is shaped like a turquoise mandala. So then the bigger village is called Chuki Tsulakang, probably named after a temple, because Tsulakang usually means like a temple. Close to that is a valley called Tsar Toyonlung. It's a valley called Tsar Toyonlung. And in that valley, there is a village called Tsungu. So it is in that village called Tsungu that Jigten Sumgon was born. Jigten Sumgon's father was the yogi, the Nyaljorpa, called Dorje. And Dorje, his father, was considered an emanation of Bhagavan Bhaira. Bhaira means is referring to Yamantaka, Vaja Bhairava. And it's because Jigten Sumgon's father was a master in that Tantra. And they are descendants of this Kyura clan, and a particular branch of the Kyura clan called the Drugyal Kyura clan, Kyura, Kyura. And that his father was educated in the Dharma. He knew the Abhidharma very well. He studied the Mahayana sutras, the teachings on the paramitas, and as well as, of course, like everyone else, he also had great interest and was trained in Vajrayana, in secret mantra. And in particular, he was a practitioner of this tantra called Vajrabhairava. Bhairava means the terrifier, so the Vajra terrifier. And why is Vajra terrifier so terrifying? Because he has the ability to terrify Yama, the Lord of Death. So Vajrabhairava's other name is Yamantaka. Yamantaka actually means the end of Yama. It's a very good name. He puts an end to Yama. He puts an end to the Lord of Death. So he terrifies the Lord of Death, All of us are terrified of the Lord of Death. He is the terrifier of the Lord of Death. And Vajrabhairava is the wrathful emanation of Manjushri. In other words, the perfection of wisdom that realizes emptiness, will put an end to the Lord of Death. Already in the Dhammapada, it says, the Lord of Death cannot find the person who has realized selflessness. Whoever has seen selflessness directly is no longer available to the Lord of Death. And so this is Vajrabhairava. So Jigten Sumgon's father was very dedicated to this deity practice, Vajrabhairava. Then his mother's name was Rakshisha Tsunma, and she was a hidden yogini. So she was a Dharma practitioner as well. When Jigten Sumgon was conceived, he entered his mother's womb in the form of a white text. So some kind of, the mother had a dream that a white text, Dharma text. And this white text is said to be symbolic of Vajrapani, the great bodhisattva of power and might, Vajrapani. So sometimes Jigten Sumgon is also praised as, an emanation of Vajrapani. So the mother had this dream that when she conceived Jigten Sumgon, this white text appeared and dissolved into her. So he remained in the mother's womb for 9 months and 14 days and was born in the water pig year, which is 1143 in the Western calendar. At that time, his uncle gave him the name Welwatar. And it said that name is more of a Bunpo name. Bunpo being the indigenous Tibetan religion before Buddhism. So the family had some connection with the Bun tradition. So one of his uncles may have been a Bun priest, and so gave him this name Belwatar. This beautiful child with limitless virtues had, very kind, very gentle, and was far surpassed ordinary beings. Already at the age of 4, he has learned how to read, and his particular style of reading is called in Tibetan Teolok. And what that means is that it's a particular style of reading sacred texts
When they say that he could read at 4, primarily they're saying that he could read Dharma texts and read them really well. So the practice of reading or chanting sutras was a religious practice. So Kyobpa, at the age of 4, could already start reading the sutras and tantras, chanting the sutras and tantras. And it said that the way he read it is such that the syllables are pronounced very clearly. And so this style of chanting, they say, was later also introduced in Drigung when he became a great Lama himself. So at this young age, so one indicator of how his mind was very special was that one time his father gave him this important text called Manjushri Namasangiti, which is the litany of the names of Manjushri, and gave him that. And so it said that he read it only one time, and then that evening he could remember, he could chant that tantra from memory. So this again shows, his kind of virtuous roots. So whatever his father knew, he taught it to his son. And as young as the age of 9, it says, Kyobpa Rinpoche was already teaching others, beginning with, his young friends that played with him. Then instead of playing, he would give them instructions. Then slowly even older people came to get advice from him. Then later, another uncle, Khenpo Dharma, taught him practices related to another wrathful deity called Vajakilaya. So there is a particular tradition of Vajakilaya called the 3 aspects of Vajakilaya. And Khenpo Dharma taught to Jigten Sumgon. And this Khenpo Dharma also would later be Jigten Sumgon's guardian after Jigten Sumgon's father and mother passed away. Furthermore, from Dorje Ningpo, this Lama from this area called Lo, so Lopa Dorje Ningpo and his disciples, Jigten Sumgon, received the Guhya Samaja teachings, and he also received teachings of Guhya Samaja from the tradition of Go Lotsawa, an important translator. So Jigten Sumgon was also trained in Guhya Samaja. Guhya Samaja is one of the major important tantras in Vajrayana. Under Jetsun Korwa Lungkir, another great Lama, he studied Mahamudra and practiced and became accomplished in the Samadhi of illusions. So already he started Mahamudra training with this Lama. Of course, it was Phagmodrupa that finally caused Jigten Sumgon to fully achieve a Mahamudra awakening. But from young, he was already exposed to Mahamudra teachings. Then he saw in one of these practice sessions, he saw the Arakta Penma Buddha field. Had visions of Buddha realms. From Lopon Kebupa and Redring Gomchen, he learned the stages of the teachings and the stages of the path, and received many instructions of the Kadampa lineage of Lord Atisha. Reding Gomchen, Reding is one of the major monasteries of the Kadampa tradition. And so that monastery, during the time of Drakpa Jungne, was destroyed by the Mongols, when the Mongols first came. Remember yesterday? I talked about how Reding was destroyed. So this is Reding. So through all these trainings, especially with the Kadampa teachers, he really developed his great compassion. So some examples, of his compassion. He would carry this woman who has lost her limbs to leprosy. He carried her into town so that she could, beg for food, get food. It said that he gave, a lump of sugar to blind beggar. There's another story where he saw a starving dog and he had nothing to feed that dog, and fearing the dog would die. And the story says that he remembered he just had a meal, he just had his dinner himself, Jigten Sumgon. So he caused himself to vomit out the food that he ate so that the dying dog can eat. So stories like that of his kind of acts of compassion. When he was 15, there was famine in his area, and his father passed away. I mentioned that the famine got so bad that the father had to sell his Dharma materials, the Dharma texts, statues, everything. But even that, he could not save himself. And then soon, even his mother, Jigten Sumgon's mother, passed away. And then after that, he went to live with his uncle, Khenpo Dharma. Then Khenpo Dharma passed away. So it was a very difficult time. Eventually, he moved south and supported himself by reading scriptures. And he lived with a family. And so to sort of pay rent, to the family, he would offer his services of reading, chanting sutras. To this day, people would invite monks to their house at least once a year for a few days. So during few days, they provide a room, usually the shrine room, for the monks to stay in for a few days. And morning to night, the monks would recite sutras, and usually the perfection of wisdom. And they recite, chant those sutras, and then the monks get offerings. So Jigten Sumgon did that. So if you can find monks, you find monks to do it. If you cannot find monks, you even find anyone who knows how to read the sutras, and you sponsor their reading, so to say. Very common cultural practice among Tibetans, among Bhutanese. Once he was offered a goat. Because he was young, the goat dragged him, and one time, the goat dragged him, and so he was trying to, hold on to the goat, and it said that miraculously, his footprints sunk into this big rock. And so these footprints are called the goat drag footprints. And to this day, they can be seen in a rock close by a river near Ladra in Upper Ga in Kham in eastern Tibet. Then later, from another Lama called Sangye Yeshe, he received the empowerment of Vajrayogini. So he started practicing Vajrayogini already. Then, at the invitation of the patron Akar, he went into retreat at Sip Lumongche. So this is his first kind of extended retreat. During that time, he saw samsara and nirvana as though reflected in a mirror. So this is consistent with an earlier mention of how he practiced Mahamudra, and in particular trained to experience the illusory nature of everything. So here, samsara and nirvana as though reflected in the mirror is a reference to that. Then some, great Lama called Gunda Pandita. Pandita is an Indian title, which means like great, very learned person. So Gunda Pandita arrived in central Tibet. So Jigten Sumgon went to meet him, and to ask him about all the wonderful teachers in central Tibet. As I said earlier, at that time, many great lamas were active in central Tibet, so that in eastern Tibet, people who are interested in Dharma, eventually they will come to central Tibet. So when Gonda Pandita came to eastern Tibet, Jigten Sumgon went to ask him, tell me about all the great lamas there. Gonda Pandita replied that the great scholars in philosophy were Cha, Yor, Nya, Zangna, Nyemba, and many others, and that the great meditators were the Kadampas. And there were also many yogins, but the most wonderful of all was Phagmodrupa. And said that just by hearing Phagmodrupa's name, Jigten Sumgon's mind was moved like a steed encouraged by a whip. A horse encouraged by a whip. This is not necessarily talking about actually whipping the horse, but you crack the whip, you get the horse's attention. So it's an expression. That evening, after hearing that, he resolved that he will leave retreat. Then he went to this one patron's house, Bonchoye, and basically said, I want to go to central Tibet. But this first patron, Bonchoye, discouraged him from going to central Tibet. But Mokcheng Ame Geshe helped him to get permission to go. Here, I think this permission is referring to how, at that time, that local area is under the control of some local chieftain. So for residents of an area to go here or to go there, you need permission before you're allowed to go. So someone else, got permission for him to go. And part of the reason why this Bonchoye don't want him to go, and potentially other people also don't want him to go, is the idea that such individuals like him, right? He was already with some local renown, and not mentioned in this monastery is that he had also become known as a healer. He had the power to heal people through his practice. So he was already seen as a powerful Lama. So the local chieftain might not want him to leave, because if he leaves, then it leaves the area without a powerful Lama. And without a powerful Lama, it's like if people get possessed, people get sick, this Lama is not there to help them. Furthermore, when you have a powerful Lama in your local area, that will even deter robbers from coming. Because people are afraid. So they try to prevent him from leaving. So sometimes, in these stories, when they say, they have this patron, that patron who supported them in retreat, in some ways you could say, also held hostage. Also held hostage, not literally, but like, don't go anywhere, we will support you. Not included in here, this part is some stories about how one time, to show a story that illustrates this point about his power. I don't remember the details, but basically, somebody tried to harm Jigten Sumgon's patron, one of Jigten Sumgon's supporters. And in the process of trying to do that, this person who was trying to cause the harm had an accident and died. And so then everybody, the rumor started to spread. oh, see, this person tried to harm this Lama's supporter. And so then quickly everybody said, this Lama has great powers. And it said that Jigten Sumgon actually felt uncomfortable with this. And then he said, I got to be more careful. Because I think in that story, when this person tried to harm Jigten Sumgon's patron, the patron told Jigten Sumgon, and Jigten Sumgon sort of in his mind think, sort of had this thought, like this person trying to harm my patron, is causing me harm. Yeah, some thought like that. This person trying to harm my supporter is causing me harm. So later, when people told him that person had an accident and died, he felt, like in some ways, his thought may have caused, like the Dharmapalas, like his protectors, his like magical protectors may have, caused harm. So then Kyobpa Rinpoche said to himself, I got to be very careful with even my small thoughts that seems innocent, because thoughts are very powerful. So anyway, he secured permission to leave, and so he left and went on the road, and along he saw many emanations of Phagmodrupa, kind of leading him towards him, guiding him. And so it says here, and continue on his way, as in the stories of Taktung Nu, Norsang, and other bodhisattvas. So this is reference to the sutras that talk about the journey of aspiring bodhisattvas. Norsang is Sudana, which is in the Avatamsaka Sutra, in Chinese, Shanchai Tongzi. So the Shanchai Tongzi that went, Norsang, Sudana, that went to visit 51 teachers to learn the Dharma. So it said that Jigten Sumgon's journey to central Tibet was like that. Along the way, he met great beings, he met lamas, he consulted them, they gave them instructions. Finally, in the Glorious Samantabhadra Forest, name of Phagmodrupa's place, he met the Lord of Beings, Phagmodrupa. This Glorious Samantabhadra Forest is also the name of our Drigung Forest Hermitage. Yeah. The Guru declined Jigten Sumgon's gifts of a horse and silk, but accepted a brick of tea, which was then boiled and served to 80 disciples. Phagmodrupa's face became brighter as he drank the tea, and Jigten Sumgon felt uplifted on seeing this. Phagmodrupa noticed this and said to him, I have great hopes for you. All this is my blessing for you. I underwent many trials. So elsewhere, we learn in other biographies that when Jigten Sumgon first arrived and he wanted to see Phagmodrupa and asked, to be led to see Phagmodrupa, Phagmodrupa said, no, make him wait. So he waited for a while before Phagmodrupa would see him. And as he waited, he got more and more impatient. And as he waited, his pride also grew. So in the first biography written, they do highlight his pride. His pride as being a serious Dharma practitioner, a good Dharma practitioner. So it wasn't like pride about, I'm rich. In fact, when he arrived, it said that he looked like a beggar. But he had this horse, and he had silk that he wanted to offer to Phagmodrupa. But Phagmodrupa said, no, I don't accept these offerings of animal and silk. So that's why Phagmodrupa declined. It's to show Phagmodrupa's kind of, you could say, like his vegan values. He says, no, I cannot accept animals, and I cannot accept silk, which is made from silkworms. It's like, but tea I will accept. So here, apparently, when Phagmodrupa finally agrees to meet with him, he was overjoyed. And then Phagmodrupa told him, he said, because of you, I went through a lot of hardships. Which is Phagmodrupa's way of saying, you are one of my, you will be one of my most important successors, because you will benefit many beings. So that I work so hard, that I practice so hard, that I train so hard, it is for your sake. So a very caring, intimate exchange in this first meeting. And so today, we're going to stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. By the way, Thursday, no class. Bright and early on Thursday, I have to go to the land to do some stuff. So Thursday, no class. Yeah. Changchu Semchu Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyu Chi Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Ba Yang Go Ne Gong Du Bel War Shun. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Lye.
Thank you, Dr. Lye.